In the latest episode of South Park titled Into the Panday, the creators take a sharp jab at Disney, lampooning the entertainment giant's recent trend of altering beloved characters' ethnicities and genders as part of a so-called commitment to diversity. The episode cleverly flips the narrative, presenting Disney's actions as a whimsical game of character mixing, where traditional traits are swapped out for contemporary ideals. This satirical lens allows South Park to highlight what many see as Disney's ongoing struggle to balance nostalgia with the modern push for representation and inclusivity. Into the Panday. The boys of South Park find themselves embroiled in the latest Disney-inspired craze. The premise of the episode is simple yet effective as Disney releases new films that seemingly check off boxes on a diversity checklist. The South Park crew embarks on their own adventures in character reimagining. Characters are mixed and matched without regard for their original narratives, poking fun at how far Disney has gone in its pursuit of a politically correct catalog. The absurdity of the situation inspires humor. For instance, classic characters like Snow White and Ariel from The Little Mermaid undergo radical transformations that leave them nearly unrecognizable to fans. The episode suggests that Disney's overhaul of these characters aims to showcase a commitment to social justice, but it raises an important question: at what cost? With every new release, the familiar stories are being reconfigured, leaving many viewers, especially longtime fans, wondering if the magic of their childhood has been lost in translation. This criticism resonates with audiences who have watched Disney's shift over the past few years. The company, in an effort to keep pace with societal changes, seems to have adopted a formulaic approach to character development. From introducing diverse racial backgrounds to gender-swapping iconic roles, Disney appears to be adhering to a strict social justice agenda. While the intention behind this shift may be noble, the execution often feels forced and superficial, as if the rich, intricate stories of these characters are being sacrificed for the sake of representation. In the episode, South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone take on the role of social commentators, using humor to dissect the implications of this approach. They cleverly illustrate the confusion and frustration felt by many fans who grew up with the original narratives, only to find them reshaped into something entirely new. The creators showcase this disconnect by having characters who are bewildered at how the new stories do not align with their memories, amplifying the audience's sentiment that these reboots can feel like a betrayal. Moreover, Into the Panday serves as a mirror reflecting the broader cultural discourse surrounding representation in media. The episode cleverly acknowledges the importance of diversity while also criticizing the sometimes clumsy implementation of these ideals. It emphasizes the need for thoughtful storytelling that respects the essence of classic characters, rather than merely transforming them to fit a contemporary mold. Ultimately, the episode is a poignant reminder of the fine line between progress and preserving the spirit of beloved tales. In the quest for inclusivity, South Park prompts viewers to consider whether Disney, and by extension, all media, can navigate the complexities of representation without losing the narratives that resonated with audiences in the first place. Into the Panday does more than just entertain. It invites us to reflect on the evolving landscape of storytelling in a way that is both humorous and insightful, leaving us to ponder the future of our cherished childhood classics.
More concerned about Disney's new Snow White remake, mostly because of what the lead actress has been saying to the press.
Let's delve into the recent changes surrounding Rachel Zegler's portrayal of Snow White in Disney's upcoming adaptation of the classic fairy tale. In a significant departure from the original narrative, this new version presents Snow White as a character undergoing a storm, not only in a literal sense as the character navigates her world, but also figuratively, as Disney seeks to reshape her story. The decision to cast Zegler is not just about her identity, but also about the overarching narrative they want to convey. Surprisingly, Disney has chosen to eliminate the romantic storyline between Snow White and her prince, a core element of the original tale that has been cherished for generations. Yes, you heard that right, there's no love story in this adaptation. This decision is undoubtedly bold and has sparked significant conversation. For many fans, the absence of the traditional romance feels like a betrayal. Iconic moments where Snow White shares tender interactions with her prince are now replaced with a narrative that shifts focus away from romantic love. As viewers reflect on this change, the reactions have been mixed. While some are open to the new direction, a large segment of the audience feels that a vital part of their childhood has been rewritten. Critics of the adaptation argue that this revisionist approach threatens to erase Snow White's essence. The charm and romance that characterize the original story are being replaced with a more modern interpretation. that some believe lacks the emotional depth and warmth of the original. Many fans express a sense of loss, feeling that Disney is stripping away the fairy tale magic that made Snow White a beloved character. The nostalgic connection to the classic story is palpable, and as the franchise shifts, so too do the expectations of its audience. As the debate unfolds, it's clear that people have strong opinions. On one side, supporters of the new direction claim that the changes are a necessary reflection of today's diverse society, arguing that storytelling should evolve to include a wider range of experiences and perspectives. They believe that by diversifying characters, Disney is making strides toward inclusivity, and they commend the company for taking such a bold step. However, not everyone is convinced that these changes are genuinely driven by a desire for meaningful representation. Some critics assert that the revisions feel more like box-ticking exercises rather than sincere efforts to tell richer stories. They suggest that Disney is pandering to contemporary social pressures, concerned more about avoiding backlash than about creating compelling narratives. The fear is that this shift could lead to a superficial portrayal of diverse experiences, diluting the stories in favor of a marketing strategy that prioritizes public relations over authentic storytelling. This debate raises questions about the future of storytelling in mainstream media. Is it possible to create stories that resonate with today's audiences while still honoring the traditions and narratives that have come before? Or are we witnessing a trend that prioritizes social agendas over storytelling itself? Many argue that genuine representation goes beyond simply changing the race or gender of characters. It requires depth, nuance, and a commitment to exploring the complexities of diverse lives and experiences. As fans navigate this storm of change, the conversations surrounding Rachel Zegler's Snow White adaptation illustrate a broader cultural discourse about identity, representation, and the preservation of cherished stories. For many, the original tale of Snow White holds a special place in their hearts, and as these narratives evolve, it's essential to strike a balance between progress and nostalgia. The challenge lies in creating adaptations that resonate with both longtime fans and new audiences, ensuring that the essence of beloved characters remains intact while embracing the diversity of today's world. Ultimately, Disney's decision to reimagine Snow White has ignited a firestorm of opinions and debates. While some embrace the changes, others mourn the loss of what made the original story enchanting. As the landscape of storytelling continues to shift, it is crucial for creators to find a way to honor the past while carving out a space for the future, a task that is as intricate as it is necessary in our ever-evolving cultural narrative. Let's explore the significant changes introduced in Disney's upcoming Snow White adaptation, particularly the removal of the traditional love story in favor of a more feminist interpretation. While the empowerment of women is undeniably important and a necessary evolution in storytelling, many fans are left scratching their heads over the decision to eliminate the romantic element that has long been a cornerstone of Snow White's tale. This modification has sparked widespread controversy, with longtime supporters of the original story feeling sidelined and questioning whether this new version is still true to the essence of Snow White they have cherished. For countless viewers, the romance between Snow White and her prince encapsulated the magic of the original fairy tale. It represented hope, love, and the triumph of good over evil. By discarding this beloved aspect, Disney risks alienating fans who have a deep emotional connection to the classic narrative. Many are wondering if they are even watching Snow White anymore, given how the story has been transformed into something almost unrecognizable. This sense of bewilderment is indicative of a larger issue at play within the entertainment industry: the challenge of balancing modern narratives with the expectations and nostalgia of dedicated audiences. Amid this cultural upheaval, South Park has jumped into the fray with its recent episode, which cleverly critiques the current trend in Hollywood, particularly among studios like Disney. The show highlights how these companies seem to be injecting diversity into their stories as if it were mere seasoning, rather than a central ingredient. In their typical irreverent style, the South Park creators argue that this approach does not genuinely address the complexities of representation. Instead, it risks diluting the very narratives they seek to enrich. South Park makes a compelling point: simply labeling a story as diverse does not inherently enhance its value or significance. Diversity must be integrated thoughtfully into the fabric of storytelling with depth and meaning, or else it falls flat. The creators emphasize that the richness of a narrative lies not just in its diverse cast of characters, but in the stories that unfold around them. For example, if the core themes and character arcs are sacrificed in the name of diversity, then what is left of the story itself? This commentary serves as a powerful reminder that the essence of storytelling goes beyond superficial changes. In an era where representation is increasingly prioritized, it is crucial for filmmakers and storytellers to ensure that their narratives reflect genuine experiences and not just politically correct notions. Fans are craving authenticity, and they want to see characters that resonate with them on a personal level, rather than feeling like they are being presented with a checklist of diversity requirements. The backlash against Disney's Snow White adaptation and the sharp satire from South Park illustrate a growing tension in Hollywood. Viewers are demanding a thoughtful approach to representation, one that honors the stories they have grown to love while embracing the need for change. As the industry continues to evolve, it must navigate this delicate balance, ensuring that the narratives being told are rich, meaningful, and reflective of a diverse world without losing the charm and emotional depth of the tales that have captured our hearts for generations. Ultimately, the discourse surrounding the Snow White adaptation and its representation reflects a broader cultural conversation about identity, storytelling, and the impact of modernization on classic narratives. It poses a critical question: how can creators honor beloved stories while also embracing progress and inclusivity? The answer lies in crafting narratives that not only celebrate diversity but also maintain the core elements that make these stories timeless. As we move forward, it's essential for storytellers to embrace this challenge, ensuring that the magic of storytelling remains intact for generations to come.
The cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story.
It always seems to happen to me, and I end up having to pretend that I don't spend all my time here. I swear that's not the case. Is that your favorite ride? I mean, it's kind of strange how you're practically Snow White now, right? It's one of the originals after all. I'm a huge Disney fan. I grew up going to the parks my parents took me every summer. It's a huge part of my childhood. That's why this new messaging from Disney is so frustrating. It's obvious they aren't trying to remake Snow White in a way that honors the original. The only reason they're doing it at all seems to be to ruin the memory of the first movie, just like they've done with every other franchise they've touched lately. As you probably know, all the media buzz, the interviews, the leaks from the Daily Mail has caused some serious headaches for Disney during pre-production. People weren't supposed to know how unwatchable the new Snow White was going to be. They wanted it to be a surprise. But now, the cat's out of the bag and there's no hiding it anymore. Nothing has brought me more satisfaction than watching Disney scramble over the past few weeks. They're angry at South Park for constantly mocking their woke agendas like race and religion swapping in their movies. The panic is real, and it's fascinating to witness.